So it says we are live. Let's just check it out on Facebook. Hello, everyone. So I'm doing something tonight that I have never done before. I am streaming to both the Facebook group and on YouTube. That's what's new for me. I've streamed on Facebook before. So if you are in the Facebook group, but you want to join us on Zoom, please do. I don't know what that is saying. All right. Okay, go away. All right. So finding my way back to everybody. We're going to give everybody a minute to hop on, and then we are going to get going. So I want to tell you how to get the most out of tonight. Whether you are on Zoom with me, on YouTube with me, on Facebook with me, which I also see you here. So if I'm looking over, I've got Facebook up and rolling. The more that you participate tonight, the more that you get involved, I'm going to ask you some questions. Whatever platform you're watching on, put it in the chat, put it in the comments. The more that you get involved, the more, and this has been shown, the more that you will take in and retain at the end of this presentation. So this is honestly one of the one of the best presentations I have ever put together. And so I want to make sure that you take in a whole bunch. If you're looking for the Zoom link, if you go to the announcement section or the featured section, I think it's called now, in the Facebook group, the link is there. Otherwise, I will get Mariana to send it over to you. Can anybody not hear me? I have everybody muted, so you'll have to let me know in the chat if you can't hear me. But I feel like, okay, I can hear myself on Facebook. All right, so let's get rolling, shall we? All right. So this is the part that might get tricky, but I'm going to share my screen for those of you on YouTube. And it gets all funky looking like that. And then I'm going to share screen on Zoom in a second. And away we go. I think. All right. Before I do that, let me just figure out on Zoom. Zoom always does this weird thing on me, and I can't pull up the comments. Let me see. And I also need to hit record. So I'm going to, I'm sharing, maybe, view, show chat, there we go. Okay. And record to the cloud. Okay, we got to figure it out.
In progress.
Beautiful. So if you are with me on Zoom, somebody can just give me a thumbs up. I don't know where the chat just went. I feel like I'm not as tech literate as I am demonstrating right now, but it is coming across that way. All right. There we go. Now I got it figured out. Okay, let's roll. So welcome everybody to the Infinite Impact coaching workshop. We are going to be talking tonight about chat just disappeared. I just want to keep it there. Keep it there. Keep it there. So we are talking tonight about the 3 biggest mistakes, if I can go back, the 3 biggest mistakes that coaches make that stop them from having the impact and the success that they want. And by success, I'm talking both about the fulfillment. So not just the money is part of it, but also the income that people want. So this is a workshop for those of you who have a coaching business in the areas of life coaching, mindset, wellness, nutrition, fitness, business, and you want to make a bigger impact and or more money in 2022. It's also for those of you who are like, you know what, I want to start a coaching business in 2022, and I just want to avoid all the mistakes from the start. So I just don't want to make any of the mistakes that you've made. Let me stand on the shoulders of giants and make my way through. This is also for you if you're a leader or a manager in your field. So maybe you're not necessarily a coach, but you are a leader or a manager. And you recognize that the ability to lead effectively is intertwined with your ability to coach other people. A lot of the mistakes that I'm going to be talking about tonight, I also see leaders and managers making, and it stops them from being effective in that role as a leader or a manager. So just so I know who's here and to warm you guys up, how many of you are here because you want to make more of an impact in 2022? You want to touch more lives. You want to help more people. Put a 1 in the chat. If this is you, you're like, yes, I want to make a bigger impact in 2022. Put a 1 in the chat. Beautiful. Seeing the 1s coming through. And how many of you put a 2 in the chat if you want to make more money? Like 2022 is the year that I'm going to make more money than I ever have before. And I know that my income is directly related to the impact that I'm making. Beautiful, beautiful. A couple people not so sure about the money. Now, put a 3 in the chat or in the comments if you know that you deserve to have both. And you're like, you know what, Tiffany, I am here for it all. Give me the impact. Give me the money. Let's do this. I want both. It's definitely not greedy. It's what you deserve. Let's do this. Woohoo. All right. We got some 3s coming through. That's what I like. So I want you to know that it doesn't matter how pretty your funnels are. I know. Funnel people will tell you, you need a pretty funnel. It does not matter how pretty your funnels are. It doesn't matter if you're doing live videos every day. It doesn't even matter if you're giving all your time and knowledge away for free. And that's a totally different conversation that we need to have. But it doesn't even matter if you're doing that. If you're making any or all of these mistakes that I'm going to talk about tonight, there is money that you are leaving on the table, and there are lives that you are not touching to the best of your ability. There is still diamond, gold in the rough, and it's time for us to excavate that. By the way, those of you, if you don't know, I am pregnant, but I also get really excited when I am presenting. So because I'm pregnant, I get a little out of breath faster. So if you see me huffing and puffing over here, I promise you I'm fine. I'm not going to pass out. That is just the baby in tow. So I have one more thing to say to you before we get started. You are capable of a ripple effect that is so massive that you alone, just you, can play a major role in changing this world for the better. And I know there's so many people out there that say, you can't change the world alone. And I'm going to call BS on that tonight. You absolutely can have a ripple effect so large that you can change this world for better. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And if you're not making that ripple effect yet, I also want you to know it is not your fault. You just need the right tools to get there. Also want you to know, anybody who's ever doubted you or said, maybe it's time for a real job, or encouraged you to quit and play it safe, especially in the last 2 years with all the craziness we've dealt with, they were wrong. They were so wrong. your chance of being born at this moment in time, of being on this earth at this moment in time, right here with these gifts and talents that you have now, were 1 in 300 trillion. Now, I barely passed my math classes in school, but even I know that those odds make you a miracle and make you necessary, especially with all that's been going on in the world. Right now, we need more coaches who care about making an income and an impact, and we need you more now than ever. Okay? So, it's my absolute honor to expose these mistakes for you so you can play bigger in 2022. I want you to think now of how many lives that you want to impact in the next 12 months. And I want you to put that number in the comments or in the chat. How many lives do you want to touch? Is it 5? Is it 50? Is it 100? 200? I love it. Going big. What do we got? What do we got? Multitudes of how many? How many? I want you to be specific here. The more specific you are, the better. Love it. 3,690. So 500. Love it. Love it. Love it. 1 million. Beautiful. Then I want you to tell me, how much money do you want to make in 2022? Again, give me a specific number. 12,000. Have no idea where I got that number. I love it. When you just go with what comes into your mind, as many as 3,000, too small, 5,000. I love seeing people go even bigger, 700. So how much money do you want to make in 2022? 115,000, 380,000. Beautiful. What else? What kind of incomes do we want this year? 500,000, 80,000. Beautiful. Whatever number you put, I want you to know it is possible for you. Absolutely. All of those numbers are totally 200,000, totally achievable. So give me a 1 in the comments or the chat if you want to discover these 3 business killing mistakes that coaches make so often. 3 million. I love it. Love it. All right. Getting some 1s. So my goal for the next 90-ish minutes is that if you're somebody who's planning to start a coaching business soon, or you've just started, to help you avoid these deadly mistakes from the start. And if you're already coaching, I want to challenge you to go to the next level. So this presentation comes with a little bit of a warning. I might challenge some of the things that you're already doing, and I might challenge you to think differently, either about yourself or your business or your prospects or your clients. If that is okay with you, give me a 2. If you are okay for me to challenge you and gently and lovingly push you to that next level, give me a 2. Let me know that's good. I do it with absolute love. I promise. All right. So first, who the heck am I? Who is this pregnant woman sitting in front of you? This is me. So right now, I own a multiple 6-figure coaching business. I have worked with thousands of people across the world. I have consulted and coached in numerous different corporate environments, everything from Oakley to Delta Airlines. I am a contributor to Entrepreneur, so much more, but it wasn't always that way. This was me when I first started my coaching journey. So this was me on my 30th birthday. That's me right there, all dolled up with my sparkly silver shoes. 30th birthday. I was living in Australia at the time, and all 4 of these people that you see in this picture, the 3 people with me, we traveled from Australia to New York City on my birthday, which is New Year's Eve, to watch the ball drop. We paid like $700 for tickets to this party, so we didn't have to stand outside and like wear diapers and all the things that people do, but we could see the ball drop from the party. It was unlimited food and drinks and all the good stuff. got all dolled up, bought like a couple $100 dress and shoes. And, we did the whole thing. I was the biggest jerk of a coach this night. I made every single mistake in this one night and then the nights that followed. Every single mistake that I'm going to share with you tonight, and then even more. What I desperately wanted was to genuinely help people feel confident, love themselves, and discover a life that they didn't know was possible. What I was doing was just annoying the crap out of everyone around me. And so shortly after that picture was taken, because I launched into a coaching session, impromptu, that was not asked for, that night at a New Year's Eve party in New York City that we paid $700 to be at, I walked back to my hotel room alone. My friends wanted nothing to do with me. We were sharing a hotel room, but they're like, yeah, they just literally ghosted me at the party in New York City. I walked home alone at 1 a.m. on New Year's. Don't tell my dad. I've never told him that. He would freak out. And the next day, they left me alone. They ditched me. And then we had a trip to Vegas planned after. So we went from New York to Vegas, spent a couple days in Vegas, and they ditched me there. My friends would not hang out with me after that night. That's how bad I was. That's how many mistakes I made in the one evening being a coach. Kind of felt a little like this. So wherever you are in your coaching business right now, I want you to know that you are absolutely in a better position than I was that night and in the weeks and months that followed. And then I got back to Australia and things did not get any better in my coaching business. In fact, they got even worse. And so now I was kind of like this. So I was thinking about giving up on coaching. I was like, you know what? This isn't for me. And just as I was about to throw in the towel, I discovered what has now become my coaching secret weapon. And this allowed me to dramatically transform my own life and then go on to help thousands of other people across the world transform their lives. Now, when I first discovered this secret weapon, I did what most people did. I went, yeah. This is like my favorite gift, by the way. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the brilliance of this gift? But this is what I was really like, yeah, I'm sure. But then I saw the results that other people were having with the secret weapon. And I thought, maybe it's not too good to be true. And so instead of giving up on my dreams, I decided to lean in. When I implemented the secret weapon into every area of my life became completely different. It became unrecognizable. The toxic relationships that I had disappeared very quickly. They started dropping like flies. The opportunities for me to coach with Oakley, the Australian Rules Football League, KKK, the Australian Rules Football League, by the way, is like the equivalent in Australia to the NFL here in the US. KKK, which is like the Australian version of Hallmark, Delta Airlines. These opportunities just started coming out of nowhere. And that's just the corporate ones. That's not even to mention the one-on-one sessions that I was doing. I hit 6 figures in my first 12 months of my coaching business, and I became a gangster at setting boundaries in my life. Like, not a problem. I got this. So give me a 1 in the comments or the chat if you want to know what my coaching secret weapon is. Only 1 person? 2 people? All right, there we go. Some people were sitting on their hands, I guess. So I'm going to share that with you at the end. So you have to stay until the end to find out what this secret weapon is. And we're going to dive first into these mistakes that I promised you. So mistake number 1 is ineffective coaches focus on the wrong things. The things that people most commonly focus on in their coaching business is themselves. And you might think, no, but let me explain. Their vanity metrics, They focus on the money, their clients' short-term wins only, their clients' behaviors. And you might think, well, of course, that's what they're coming to me to change. So when they focus on themselves, here's what I mean by that. They coach from an ego-driven place. So their self-worth, their ego is very much wrapped up in their client's ability to get results. Now, don't get me wrong. I am fully all about making sure clients get results and coaching them to a place that they can get results. But when you're coaching from an ego-driven place, there's a tendency when your clients aren't fully doing what you want them to, which they're probably not going to, especially straight away, because they're human beings and they've got their own fear, right? They might need some coaching. Some people will take immediate action, but there are some people who definitely won't. And so when you're coaching from that ego-driven place, the tendency is to revert to guilt and shame tactics inadvertently. And we justify it by, well, I'm doing what's best for the client, blah, blah, blah. I'm pushing them. This is what they hired me for. We have an infinite number of reasons why we can justify using those tools, but it doesn't actually help the client. And it's coming from a place of being ego driven. Oftentimes, and I'm saying this without any judgment because this is what I did initially, people get into coaching to help others as a way of fixing themselves. They think, well, if I can just fix you people, then I'll feel better about myself. And this is where their self-worth becomes so intertwined in their clients' results. These are the coaches who claim responsibility for their clients' successes. So I got my client to 6 figures. I got my client to do this. I got my client to do this. When we're not ego-driven, when we're not focusing on ourselves, we recognize that we played a role in the client getting to that place, but ultimately they did the work. We were the guide. They did the work. They are the hero of their own journey. These coaches tend to talk at people, so it's a very one-way communication. There's a lot of telling people what to do instead of empowering them to have their own aha moments and their own breakthroughs. They do most of the talking on the calls. So their client will come in and say, well, this is my challenge. And then they will spend the rest of the time talking and telling what to do, like I said, instead of asking the client questions to help them have their own light bulb moments. And by being so focused on themselves, it actually leads to imposter syndrome, fear, self-doubt, procrastination, and an inability to either build or to maintain rapport or a connection with your clients. So when you are totally self-focused, you are more likely to be derailed by imposter syndrome, by that thinking like, I don't know if I'm good enough to do this, that paralysis by analysis, the not taking action because you doubt what you're about to do or you doubt your ability to do it effectively. Those come when you are inwardly focused. When you are focused on the right things, which we'll talk about shortly, then imposter syndrome becomes very, very easy to get rid of because you're not focused on yourself. You're focused on a place of serving. They focus on vanity metrics, which means they disregard the importance of one person. And I want you to be honest with yourself right now. And if you want, you can put a 2 in the chat or the comments if you've ever done this. But if you don't want to share it publicly, that's cool. Just within yourself, I want you to sit with this. Have you ever said, that post didn't do good. Only one person liked it. I only got 1 view on my YouTube video or on my TikTok video or on my reel. Only 1 person attended my workshop. Only 1 person registered. Only 1 person opened my email. A lot of people do this because they are wanting to make more money and have more of an impact, but they disregard the importance of the 1 person. And here's what I know. If you're not willing to show up for 1 person, the universe is not going to send you more, right? It's just like if you have $10 in your bank account and you mismanage that $10, the universe isn't going to go, here's 1,000, here's 1,000,000. It's not going to do that. The universe is going to give you a taste, a tester, see how you handle that one person, that $1, whatever it is. And if you mismanage that, if you don't appreciate that, if you don't understand the importance of what you've received, then you're not going to get more. So when you're focused on the vanity metrics, you don't understand the ripple effect. And these people tend to quit very quickly because they aren't getting the huge numbers. Did you know that the very first presentation that Les Brown, one of the most prolific motivational speakers of our time, his very first presentation, he had one person in the audience. And he showed up the same for that one person as if he had a packed house. And that is how he's grown to who he is today. How do you think that one person would have felt if Les went, sorry, it's just you, like, just go home and we'll do this another time, right? If you're not willing to show up for one, you're not going to be willing to show up for 10,000. The one person gives you the practice to get that confidence. So here's what the ripple effect looks like. You work with one person. Well, that one person knows at least, and these numbers are pre-social media days, that one person knows at least 300 people by name. And so the change that that one person makes ripples out to those 300 people. They will tip differently. They'll treat their spouse and their kids differently and their family differently and their, servers or whatever differently. Now, each of those 300 people know 300 people by name. And because they experience the ripple effect of goodness, that ripples out to impact 90,000 people. And even if we go one level deeper, you're impacting 27 million people. Now, I understand that there's something like 8 billion people on the face of this earth, but 27 million people is almost the population of California. It's almost the population of Canada. It's almost the population of Texas. So that's how big of an impact you could make. Almost the population of an entire country, and in some cases, an entire country's worth of people by helping one person. Because we know the ripple effect doesn't just go 3 deep, it goes 5 or 6 layers deep. So start showing up for that one person. When people focus on the money, there's always a disconnect with the client. They almost become resentful when they have to deliver to their clients because now they've got the money. They're just focused on the next dollar that they can make, but now they have to fulfill on what they've sold. So there's this resentful attitude. And if you're like, I've been there, so have I. Literally, I have made every single mistake here in my time as a coach. And that's how I can talk about it from a place of knowing. When you focus on the money, you are totally disregarding the ripple effect, like I said, because you're less likely to show up for just one person. And they'll rarely receive referrals because the clients pick up on it. They know, this person's just here for my money. Guilt, shame, and emotional manipulation tactics are used to get the sale. They'll say whatever they have to, promise whatever they have to get the sale, and then they're just like, whatever. And the clients may not always get the results because they're signing up for the wrong reasons. If you're using manipulation tactics to get the sale, then people are signing up to get your validation, to get your approval, to be part of the cool group, instead of because they're actually ready to make that change and transformation. Now, it is important to get clients short-term wins. But if all you can guarantee is short-term wins, you actually put your clients at a disadvantage in the long run. Yes, we want to get them some short-term wins to keep them, to show them that this works. It's also going to make their ego happy. This tends to happen with accountability coaches. I'm going to get you short-term wins, but what we're not focused on here is the long-term empowerment. So what this tends to do, because we're not empowering the client to listen to themselves and to have their own aha moments, is the client always needs the coach. And you might think, well, that's a great business model. If people are signing up with me and then they always need me, they have to keep paying me. But it limits your impact. You can only work with so many people at a time. That's why I asked that question in the group earlier this week for those of you who saw it, because you could only work with so many people. And the numbers that you guys were putting in here for this year, none of you can work with that many people at one time. So we want people to stay working with us because they want to, but not because they need us. If you're only getting clients short-term wins because you're telling them what to do instead of empowering them to know the next step based on their own truth, based on their own intuition, you're nothing more than a glorified babysitter. And this is why I almost quit coaching, because this is what I was. I was like, what? I don't want to just be a babysitter to adults. I want to actually help people make change. If you're only focused on the client's behavior, you're setting them up for long-term self-sabotage or failure. And here's why. These coaches tend to talk a lot about willpower and self-discipline as a way to create change. But what science has shown us is that willpower and self-discipline are the least effective ways to create sustainable long-term change. It might get you some immediate change, but that change is unlikely to stick unless you do a couple other things. You have to get to the root of the problem. And if you're only focused on the behaviors, you are not. Somebody comes to you and says, I want to lose 10 pounds. I can help you lose 10 pounds, no problem. Probably within the next week, probably even less time than that because I worked in wrestling. So I know how to cut weight real quick. But that's not getting to the root of why you put that weight on in the first place. You can come to me and say, hey, I want to quit smoking. Okay, well, I can get you to quit smoking, but that doesn't get to the root of the problem. Why? And so if we're not getting to the root of the problem, what's going to happen is those behaviors are going to migrate somewhere else. Skipped forward too fast. I was so excited. So 95% of the belief systems that you have right now as an adult were implanted in your mind between the ages of 0 and 7. And your clients are exactly the same. Our behaviors are a symptom of our belief systems. And this is why focusing only on behaviors is the least effective way to create long-term change, because we're not changing the belief systems. If we only change the behaviors and the belief systems don't change, this is where imposter syndrome happens again, and self-sabotage. Self-sabotage happens when what we say we want, the goals that we've set, are not in alignment with what we believe to be true, whether that's about ourselves, about money, about people, about selling, whatever it is. If there's a misalignment between what we want and our belief systems, we will sabotage ourselves. We will be in an internal battle. Now, just so you know, what you want, the goals that you're going after, the willpower, self-discipline, that's only 4% of your mind's capacity. 96% of your mind's capacity is storing those belief systems. That's why you set yourself up for failure. The belief systems are going to win in the long run. There's no possible way that the 4% can overpower the 96% 100% of the time. Again, not a math person, but even I know I wouldn't take those odds. And what happens is if we only change the negative behavior without the belief, then the belief will either come back and sabotage the success they've had in that area. So maybe they lose the 10 pounds, but then they gain 20, or the belief will start to impact their life in a different area. So maybe they stop procrastinating in their business because you've given them systems to get around it, but now they stop paying their bills on time, or now they start procrastinating on date night with their spouse, or going to the gym, or eating healthy food. And I've watched this happen time and time again before I got the secret weapon that I have now. Before I started working on the belief systems and the root of the problem, this is what I watched happen. And this is another reason why I was so frustrated. And I was like, I am not meant to be a coach. So where should you focus instead? The client's needs and goals. Your coaching sessions with them are not about you. It's not about your ego. It is 100% about them. Empowering the client to have their own aha moments. And this means we have to understand how to communicate with them in a way that leads them to the answer we want to get them. I could tell you something, or I could ask you questions for you to have your own aha moment, and you having your own aha moment going to be 1,000 times more powerful. One of the first coaches I hired made mistake number one, focused on the wrong things. And she said to me one day, "You don't like yourself very much." I'm a little bit of a rebel. And I was like, made an inappropriate gesture. I was like, F you. Like, yeah, I do. I like myself. Don't tell me how I feel about myself. Then somebody else that I was working with a couple months later said, I can't even remember the question that they asked me, but it was like instant, like bucketing tears, like, I don't really like myself. Right? So when we empower our clients to have that aha moment on their own, they're going to move forward so much faster. Help your clients reprogram their limiting beliefs that lead to the negative behaviors. Work on the root of the problem, not just the symptom. And focus on people who are ready and willing to make change. Often as coaches, like I did that night, that New Year's Eve, my 30th birthday of all days to do it, right? A milestone birthday. I was focused on somebody who did not want to make change. And she didn't talk to me for a long time after that. She talks to me now, but she didn't talk to me for a long time after that. So focus on the people who are ready and willing to make the change. And focus on making an impact first and foremost. If you focus on the impact, the money will always follow. So what happens when we start focusing on the right things? We get messages like this, where this woman had come to me because she wanted to work through some breakup pain that she had. She ended up completely transforming her relationship with her mom. And because of this one session, like this happened in the first session, she completely transformed her relationship with her mom. Her entire family, including cousins, mom, dad, sister, cousins, brother, they all came to work with me. That's the ripple effect because I focused on the right things. You don't only impact your clients directly. I got this from one of my clients. Her daughter, she started listening to some of my programs, like the replay of workshops like this in the car while she was driving her daughter to school. And her daughter started telling her how she was applying the leadership tips that I talked about in one of my trainings in her history class. Her daughter was 12. I have so many more texts from this one client who's like, "Oh, I was having this really bad day and my daughter had reminded me of this thing that you said and it totally pulled me out of it." So this is the ripple effect. And then the ripple effect just keeps going. And we can start to have the ripple effect with people who don't even sign up with us. When I got these messages initially, none of these people were working with me. They all were consuming my content, whether that was videos, articles that I had written, posts that I had put up. And these are just 4 of the many messages that I reached about people saying, "This post changed my life. Thank you for writing this article. It made me feel heard and seen for the first time in my life." And so we can start to have that impact and that ripple effect, even just through being who we are. So mistake number 2, ineffective coaches are still carrying around their own baggage. They're still getting up every morning, strapping that lead ball to their ankle and going out to run the marathon of their life and wondering, why am I not getting the results that I want? We've all had trauma and adverse experiences in our life. Trauma is part of the human condition, and a global pandemic is actually considered a big T trauma, which means we've all experienced trauma because we've all been through a global pandemic in the last 2 years. So, until we allow ourselves to experience the emotions that came up from the events that we experienced, both the body and the nervous system will hold on to the impact of that trauma. And it kind of looks like this. So, I want you first to imagine that you have a garbage can in your mind, and the garbage can holds on to any unresolved negative emotions that you have in life. Now, how many of you were ever taught by your parents how to effectively deal with your emotions as a child? Put a 1 in the chat or the comments if you had a parent who did that for you. My guess is going to be there's very few people who put a 1 in the comments or the chat, because very few people learn how to do this, which means every negative emotion we've had in our entire life gets put into this trash can. So let's say the first time you were angry, you were 2 years old, your mom took you to the toy store and wouldn't buy you the toy that you wanted. What happened was you created an imprint of what that anger felt like, and you started to fill up that bucket. And every time you felt how that 2-year-old felt, you've added a link onto the chain. And this chain can go infinite number of times. So as many times as you felt angry in your life is as many links in the chain as you have. And that's just anger. Then we have sadness. Maybe you first felt that at 3. You made the imprint, and every time you felt how the 3-year-old felt, you've added a link to the chain. Then we have fear. Maybe you first felt that at 1 year old, and every time you felt how that 1-year-old felt, you've added a link to the chain. And finally, we've got guilt and shame. We tend to feel this a little bit later, so maybe around 7. But every time you felt how that 7-year-old felt, you've added a link to the chain. By now, your bucket is not just full, it is overflowing. Now, here's what happens when these imprints are first created. Firstly, is that it puts a lot of strain on the body. I have had people come to me with fibromyalgia, anxiety, depression, liver disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer. And what we know and what studies have shown is that holding on to all of these emotions can lead to those things. Now, these people didn't come to me to heal any of those conditions that they had. In fact, they didn't even know that it was linked to the emotional baggage they were carrying around. But as we started to empty out the bucket and release these emotions from the body, they had miraculous and spontaneous recoveries from their conditions. Doctors were like, I don't even know what happened, but this is a miracle. And I'm just going to praise God that this happened. Their doctors had no idea how their spontaneous recoveries happened, but it was directly in alignment with the work that we were doing. The other thing that we know is when you create these imprints, so at 2, at 3, at 1, at 7, part of your psyche actually gets stuck at that age, which means part of your mindset becomes stuck at that age. And when you're in times of stress, you revert back to that age. It's almost like your 2-year-old was dealing with that situation. So road rage, when you get cut off in traffic, is not how an adult responds to sitting in traffic. That's the 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum for not getting what they wanted. Now, these are just the horizontal pillars. We have these vertical pillars, and they're all related to a person. So you store every time mom made you angry, sad, fearful, guilty, or ashamed. You could have the most amazing parents in the world. I love my parents dearly. And there was experiences that I felt these emotions because of them. Dad, exes, siblings, bosses, teachers, friends, anybody who's ever caused us to feel a negative emotion, we store that. And then those red dots are those limiting beliefs. I can't do this. I have to be perfect. It's not possible. Money is evil. You have to work hard to make money. I can't say no to people. Those limiting beliefs get trapped in this web of negative emotions and negative experiences. And the body holds on to this. It is heavy and it is toxic. And you don't realize how much it can hold you back until it's no longer there. One of the most common things that I hear from people as we release this, we don't even finish releasing all of it, but we start the process of releasing it. The number one thing I hear is, I feel like I just took a 200-pound backpack off. That is how much weight even one of these columns carries. So if you're still carrying this around, this will impact how you coach. So you're more likely to be hijacked by your own inner children during coaching sessions, which means your own inner children might come out and start trying to parent your client, or might be triggered because of something your client does or says. You're more likely to have a nervous system that is stuck in a permanent state of survival mode. And if you are in survival mode, if your body thinks it is always under attack, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you know what you should be doing, you won't do it because you cannot thrive from a place of survival. If you are in fight or flight mode, you cannot take action, learn new things, go above and beyond your comfort zone, because your mind and body will shut you down. In fact, a neuroscience lab at Stanford University found that there is such thing as a quitting circuit. And if you're in a permanent state of fight or flight, and then you attempt to do a little bit more, your body will shut you down and you will lose control of your muscles. If you've ever frozen on the spot before when something's happening, that is the quitting circuit. So we have to get your nervous system out of this state of fight or flight in order for you to truly thrive. You attract who you are. So if you're not working on your own stuff, or you're like, oh, I don't need to work on all of that stuff. And I'm not saying you need to be fully healed to work with your clients. You have to be working through it. You will attract clients who buy like you buy and who grow like you grow, which means you're going to attract clients who have the same issues that you have now, or who have similar experiences to what you have grown through. If you're not willing to work on your stuff, you will attract people who say they want to work on it, but they're not. They won't actually take action. They think handing over the credit card is enough to get them the miraculous change. Or you'll attract clients who have the exact same blocks that you do, and you won't know how to get them out of it because you haven't done it. You're not coming from a place of knowing. And so any advice or coaching that you give them becomes very inauthentic. This was a game changer for me when I realized this. This letting go of my trauma, letting go of my emotional baggage changed me, not just as a coach, but as a human being. When I dismantled those are called gestalts, those imprints, and I rewired the pathways of my brain, I stopped battling myself. Life became 10,000 times easier because I didn't have this constant battle going on in my head. I was able to find a state of ease and flow, the ability to receive love, money, referrals, anything that I needed to receive, and abundance in a way I had never known. I started making more money than I ever had before, and it was coming so easily. And even more miraculous, because it's not just about me. Jen's fibromyalgia disappeared. She went from barely being able to get out of bed some days to climbing mountains 4 days in a row without any flare-ups. Zach and Peter came off their anti-anxiety medications. Their doctor was like, well, you don't seem to need these anymore, so let's wean you off. Josh stopped procrastinating. He got over that internal battle in his head, and he collected $75,000 in outstanding collections in 1 week. He'd been so afraid of what people would say that he didn't follow up on the work, on the money that was owed for the work that he had already done. He'd already done this work. He'd already outlaid money for the materials to do the work. And then in 1 week, collected $75,000. Put a 2 in the comments or the chat if you would like to be able to go out and get $75,000 in a week. If you're like, yeah, I think I could do that, put a 2 in the chat. If you could get out of your way about money, out of your way about selling, out of your way about collecting, asking for the card, that'd be pretty awesome. Steve reversed his type 2 diabetes in less than 6 months. His doctor went from telling him, I'm real worried about your health. your diabetes is very severe. We need to work on this, to his doctor saying, I'm stunned. I have no idea how this happened. Your numbers are pre-diabetic. This is insane. Mistake number 3 that ineffective coaches make is they only have cookie cutter tools, or they're attempting to use their intuition and they can't adjust what they do, their advice, to their coach's need, to their client's needs. So here's the problem with coaching certifications. Some of them, not all of them. There is actually no regulatory body for coaching. So a lot of programs out there will say, oh, we're certified by blah, 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 or we're registered with blah, blah, blah. These regulatory bodies are a business in itself. I could literally go out and set up the International Foundation of Coaches, or I think the IFC already exists, but I could go out and I could set up the International Coaching and Healing Foundation, and people could submit their programs to me. They would have to pay a fee for me to go through it. And then they would pay a fee for me to keep them licensed or registered with us. And all I would have to do is display their programs on our website. And then to become a ICHF registered coach, so I can tell all my clients that I'm an ICHF registered coach, is I would pay my monthly or my yearly dues. I've been that person paying the dues. I'm not saying that there's not benefits to being part of some of these organizations if they give you additional training and whatnot, but there's no one regulatory body is what I want you to know. And so you just have to pay to get your course certified by them. Most, not all, but most coaching programs teach cookie cutter methods. My very first coaching training that I took, I paid $5,000. I did not even have $5,000. I borrowed $5,000 from a friend and then had to defer payments for a year because I had no money. And they taught us 8 sessions. And they said, here's what you're going to do in these 8 sessions. And even as I was going through the training, I said, but what if somebody comes to me and they don't need to work on their relationship, or they don't need to work on this and they want to work on this? And they're like, no, these are the 8 sessions that you take people through. We've made millions of dollars doing this. Just, take people through these 8 sessions and it'll be fine. This was another reason why I almost gave up on coaching, is because I couldn't adjust the tools that I had in my toolbox to what the client needed. So that I'm sitting there feeling like a butthead because I can't adjust to what they need and I can't help them. And then I'm like scrambling, like, oh, let me rely on my intuition. The techniques often don't align with how human beings actually work and are based on guru science. Unfortunately, in the self-help world, there's a lot of BS. I love people like David Goggins. A lot of what he talks about, it worked for him. If you've read his book, you know that the techniques that he used allowed him to deal with his trauma in a very, very physical way. And I would say, I don't even know if he's fully dealt with his trauma, but it allowed him to definitely run from it. But it also brought his body to a place of almost shutting down. His body was so stuck in survival mode, even though he was running all these ultra marathons, that there was a point where he actually said, I think I'm dying. And if you've read his book or you've listened to his book, he talks about it at the end. So there's so much out there that's based on short-term wins or nonsense that's not actually aligned with how the human brain and body works. And so if we're attempting to do that, to use these techniques, it's like forcing a square peg through a round hole. It's not going to work. The tools that are taught often just deal with the symptoms. Again, get people the quick win, but don't actually go into the root of the problem. And most tools out there are not trauma informed. And then the last problem that coaches face after they go through these programs is there's no ongoing support for the coach. So you learn all of these tools and then you're like, okay, So I tried to use it with a client. It didn't go the way that I wanted it to. And now I don't know what to do, but there's no support for them. A note on coaching from intuition. Intuition absolutely plays a part in coaching. The problem is, especially if people are making mistake number 2 at the same time, most people confuse fear with intuition. And so then they end up coaching their clients based from a situation of fear or a position of fear. And intuition is often based on personal experiences. I had a coach who I paid a lot of money, like $50,000, a lot of money. And in one of my sessions, he said to me, "What do you want to work on?" And I said, "I have 2 main goals. I want to get on more stages." And this was pre-pandemic, obviously, more stages. And I want to do more corporate trainings. And he said to me, "You will not get any corporate trainings until you have like a celebrity status. So just don't even worry about that one now." I was like, oh. I soon realized over the next year that he was coaching me based on his personal experience. He had only known how to get into corporate because he had celebrity status at one point in time. And that's how those doors opened for him. He didn't know how to do it any other way. Literally the next day, I found another mentor who showed me how to do it. And the first coach, interestingly enough, asked me to speak on stage at one of his events. And the Delta Airlines corporate gig came from that event. So when we're coaching based solely on intuition, then a lot of it's based on our own personal experience. And so we're not able to adjust and shift if clients don't have the exact same experiences or level of knowledge as us. And this can obviously limit your ability to coach effectively. So what coaches need is tools that actually accelerate the growth and transformation process. Anybody out there can go and tell people to journal, to meditate, to do positive affirmations, and all of those things absolutely work in the growth and transformation process, but they're also most commonly done wrong. And because of that, it's a slow going, right? But if we have tools that can give people those quick wins while we teach them how to meditate, while we teach them how to do the mindfulness, that's where the long-term sustainable transformation comes from. We want to make sure that we have tools that are adaptable, that we can change how we use them. We can change the situations we use them in, and we can change how we use them based on what that individual client needs. Again, our focus is on what the client needs, not on our ego. We want tools that can be applied to a broad range of belief systems and challenges. So I learned some tools to help people with like a specific money belief in that very first coaching program that I told you about. But if they didn't have the belief that money, you had to work hard to make money, then there wasn't really any way to reapply that to money is evil or people who want money are greedy. So we want to have the tool malleable enough, flexible enough that we can apply it to different beliefs and challenges. We want to have tools that help clients deal with the root of the problem. Ideally, we want to take down that matrix that I showed you before of negative emotions so that they can have long-term sustainable success. If you're just dealing with the symptom, and again, we live in a society where, the healthcare system and a lot of things in our world just deal with the symptoms. And it just keeps us in this hamster wheel of never quite getting where we want to go. But if you're just dealing with the symptom with your clients, it's like your client is a garden that is overgrown with weeds. And you're going out there with your little plastic Crayola scissors and you're cutting the weeds where the stem meets the soil. Short-term wins. Yes, the garden's going to look pretty for a day or two, but those weeds are coming back. And we know that they're coming back. And so then we just have to keep doing the same thing over and over. We have to keep dealing with the symptom. Or my dad taught me, just do something right the right way the first time. You don't have to do it again. Just deal with the root of the problem. We need tools that are trauma informed. Every single human being has trauma that has been made so much worse over the last 2 years. We need to be able to be sensitive to that and to coach people from that place. And finally, coaches need support, especially in the beginning. We don't just want to teach coaches tools and then be like, okay, you're on your way. That's what happened to me. And it took me a lot longer to find the success that I wanted than what could have happened. So let me ask you a question. If you made the changes that we talked about in mistake number 1, and you started to focus on the right things, and then you implemented what we talked about in mistake number 2, and you did the deep inner work to reprogram those limiting beliefs and release any emotional baggage that you had, and then you got the tools that we talked about in mistake number 3, tools that are adaptable, that are trauma-informed, that guarantee your clients' results. If you had those things, do you think that you could go to the next level as a coach? Put a 1 in the comments or chat if you feel like you could do that. Beautiful. Got some people saying yes. One person's like, yeah, okay. All right. So let me ask you a question. How many of you are excited to implement the changes that we've talked about here tonight? How many of you are like, yes, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Let me know in the comments or chat. Yes, I'm excited. Can't wait. And how many of you feel a little bit like this? Like, we covered a lot tonight. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, Tiff. How many of you feel like I've just opened up the nozzle on the fire hose and you're trying to take a drink? All right. So obviously, I've been in the coaching industry for over 20 years. And I have attempted to cram as much of that into the last hour as possible, but it's not possible. I've tried, trust me, but it is not possible for me to cram 20 plus years of experience and wisdom into 60 minutes. So put a 1 in the comments or the chat if it would be okay with you if I took about 10 minutes or so to share with you that secret weapon that I talked about at the beginning and show you how you can get that secret weapon in your business. Put a 1 in the chat if that's okay. Alrighty, let's do this. For those of you who are like, I don't want to put a 1, that's totally cool. This is all I got for you. Those of you who are like, yes, I want to know about the secret weapon, want to know how I can get it. Stick around. All right. So the NLP Mind Mastery Program, it completely transformed how I run my business, how I show up in my life. I can tell you, as a pregnant mom to be, I am eternally grateful that I have the NLP Mind Mastery package as my secret weapon, because I also know it is going to make me 100 times better mother. So what this package is the NLP Mind Mastery is a 3-day live training. You will also get digital and audio recordings of the trainings that you attend, so you can play them back anytime that you want. There's a lot that we cover, so the repetition helps. You're also going to get the complete manual with all the scripts for how to do the techniques, and you're going to become certified as an NLP practitioner. So, you'll have that certificate to say, you're NLP certified. With the NLP tools, you're going to have a set of tools. There's 8 different tools and techniques that you learn over this weekend that are completely adaptable to different needs, to different problems that your clients have. And we talk about, here's when you would use which tools. And so you can pick and choose based on what your clients need in that moment. You also gain the communication tools to communicate with the unconscious mind of your clients and your prospects. The unconscious mind is the part of the mind that drives the body. And if you don't know how to communicate to the unconscious mind and you're communicating to the conscious mind, you're going to be very limited on how much impact that you can have. This program is also going to help you master the tools of influence and persuasion. Now, this is with your clients, but it's also with your kids. If you want to persuade and influence your kids to clean their room, or your husband to do the dishes, you're going to have those tools to use. For yourself, these tools are going to give you more confidence and more energy on demand. Flick of a switch, touch of a button, you will have more confidence or whatever you need. You're going to have a deeper sense of self-awareness because you're going to truly understand how your mind is programmed and how you can work with it, how your mind actually rewires itself and how you can speed up that process. So where it might take weeks, months, or even years for affirmations to work, the tools that you learn in the NLP weekend allow you to transform limiting beliefs and other aspects of people's life in like 10 to 15 minutes. It's crazy. People are always like, yeah, okay. And then I get messages like a year later, like, hey, I still haven't done that thing that we changed. It'll allow you to communicate better with yourself and others so you can accelerate your success. And you'll have the ability to do what we call cold reading, or to read somebody's body language and know exactly what they are thinking. The tools that you're going to learn, you're going to be able to use for yourself and for your clients and family and friends to reprogram limiting beliefs around money, around literally any limiting belief you can reprogram with the tools of NLP. Get rid of unhealthy food habits. I have had people not eat chocolate cake for 2 years. I've had people stop drinking beer, stop drinking Coke, Mountain Dew, Diet Coke. I had people stop eating chicken fried steak, burgers, bread. I am gluten intolerant. And you know when you go to an Italian restaurant and they bring the bread out onto the table and it just smells so good? I couldn't help myself but eat that bread, and it would always make me so sick the next day. So I transformed bread to taste like sawdust. Now, this has kind of come back to bite me in the butt a little bit. I did this like 6 years ago. Now that I'm pregnant, I have like pasta and bread cravings like crazy. And the only way I can actually take my prenatals without getting super nauseous is to take it with bread. So I'm sitting here every day, like eating this sawdust tasting stuff. And I'm like, oh, my NLP works too good. So that's how good it works. It'll help you deal with procrastination. You'll be able to move people out of procrastination very quickly. Negative triggers. So somebody goes into road rage, or they hear a certain word and they get super triggered by it. You'll be able to collapse those and to reprogram disempowering habits. So whether it's we've reprogrammed stress eating or like comfort eating. We have reprogrammed people smoking. We've reprogrammed people biting on their nails or scrolling through social media for hours on end. So there's so many things that we can do with these tools. So the NLP training runs approximately every 6 to 8 weeks. You will attend live. Now that live can either be in person. If you want to come to DFW here in Texas, you're welcome to join us here. If you want to attend virtually from the comfort of your own home, I will still be live just like I am now. I'll be upstairs where we have a little like whiteboard and everything, and we'll go through it. You will actually experience the techniques in the training. So your change will start happening during the training. I'm not going to say, here's the theory of it. Go home and practice on your own. I'll actually teach you the theory. I'll do a demonstration. You'll go into breakout rooms. You'll get experience coaching somebody through it, and then you'll get coached through it. So you actually are coaching from a place of knowing. You know what your clients are going to experience. And as I said, you'll get the replays to review. So this package, if you were just to buy this alone, is worth $6,188. Now, when I first did my coaching, my NLP coaching, I was so excited to use these tools. I was like mind blown at what you could do with the NLP tools, but I did nothing with them for 2 years. 2 years it took me to actually start using these. And it's because I had no idea how to implement them into a coaching session or how to use NLP to start generating clients. So for myself, I had to create the Mind Mastery Support Package. And what this package is you're going to get a Facebook group that you get lifetime access to. So you're going to meet all the other people who know NLP. So if you ever want to practice the techniques, you can just partner up with somebody in there. If you're ever like, oh, I've been eating a lot of chocolate lately and I want to turn that into dog poop, which I know sounds totally weird, but if you study, when you do NLP, you'll be like, I get it now. I have this limiting belief that I want to work through. Does anybody want to partner up? Then you literally never need your own mindset coach again, because I've created this community for you to just be able to swap with people. What I'm also going to give you, and I've never given this away, I've never included this in this package before, but I am tonight, is I'm going to give you the exact presentation that I put together to help me start getting coaching clients that eventually led to that 6 figures in the first year. So for those of you who don't know, I was forced to leave Australia, moved back to Canada. My dad was like, you'd make a great receptionist. Don't start your own business. That didn't work before. You'd make a great receptionist. And I was like, no, I'm going to start my coaching business. I had not lived in Canada for over 8 years. I had no contacts. I had no reputation. This PowerPoint presentation that I did, that I put together, I've never done it and not gotten clients. Now, usually I only give this PowerPoint presentation away to my highest ticket clients, my highest level clients, and any of them who have used this presentation have never not gotten clients from it. So I'm going to give you the presentation, but I'm also going to give you a recording of me taking people through the presentation and the script. So you know exactly what I'm saying on what slides, and you can tailor it to yourself. I'm also going to give you an ebook that goes with the presentation. I've already written the ebook. The only thing you can't do is put your name on the ebook as though you wrote it. I'll take my name off though, but you'll have the ebook. So when you do these presentations, you can say, hey, I'm going to give you a lot of information over the next 90 minutes. And if you want, I have all this information in an ebook. So if you just leave me with your name and email, then I will send you this ebook after. And that was how I started building my email list. And most of those people ended up signing up with me at some point. I'm going to give you an email template to pitch organizations within your specific niche to start getting clients. So I did that PowerPoint presentation at sporting associations, at yoga studios, at gyms. I've had people take it out and do it. Somebody did it at a hair, like a cosmetology school, I think is what it's called. I've had people go and run it at schools for parents and teachers at different areas. So I'm going to give you the exact email template that I use to pitch these organizations to actually get these opportunities to do this presentation. I am going to give you 3 months of integrating NLP. So I've created a 3-month integration program. So with the integration program is you're going to get a weekly task, and that comes with a workbook where we're focusing on one aspect of NLP and how you integrate it into your life. And that is what makes you a true master and untouchable to any other coach out there. And then because you're going to be implementing this in your coaching businesses, you're going to get 2 Q&A calls a month for that first 3 months after you do NLP, so that you can ask me questions about how would I do this with this client? How would I make this technique work? So you've got that ongoing support with me. The presentation, just so you know, took me 5 hours to create. The ebook took me 12 hours to write and create. And the pitch email took me months to perfect. And since then, I've actually spent thousands of dollars working with other experts to make it even better. Integrating NLP into every area of my life took me years. So, do you mind if I save you some time and just give those things to you so that you can start having success faster. Would that be okay with you guys? Give me a yes or a thumbs up in the comments if you're like, yeah, I think I'd be okay with that. That would be fine with me. All right. So when you get to save that time and you don't have to worry about it anymore, you get to focus on your clients. And what that means is you start getting results like this. The best, least anxiety day I've had in months, calmness all day. This is coming from the former pitching coach for the San Diego Padres and the former Major League Baseball player. Your clients will be able to go out and have more confidence because you're giving them these tools. And they'll be able to grow their business and actually know that what they're getting from you is not hype, it's not fad, but it's actually legit. And the reason why I've included this support package is because repetition is the mother of learning, the father of action, and it's what makes the architect of accomplishment. NLP is something that you need repetition with to really master it. And I didn't know this because my program did not come with a support program. I had to figure all this out on my own, trial and error. But the whole point in you getting programs like this is for you to stand on the shoulders of giants. So rather than leave you alone to figure it out, I've put this together for you. So those two combined are worth over $11,000, but I'm not quite done yet. I also want to give you the self-mastery package because we talked about the need to do the inner work. So between now and whenever you attend the training, I want to give you some tools to start overcoming imposter syndrome, creating unshakable confidence for yourself, being able to take more action and overcome procrastination and set goals you'll actually achieve. So I've created this self-mastery pack, which includes workbooks, meditations, and masterclass replays. The last piece is going into it tomorrow. And this will allow you to start making transformation on your own until you do attend the 3-day live training. Nancy, with these tools, went on to have her first 6-figure quarter in her business ever. Roshana took her coaching business from struggling, needing to also drive Uber sometimes and do Uber Eats and Grubhub to make ends meet, to her first 6-figure year in 2020. The global pandemic hits, the economy is going to fail, people are freaking out, and she hit 6 figures. And so did Melissa. In 2020, hit 6 figures for the first time, and last year scaled to just under $500,000 in her second year. So all of these because they had the tools to stop making the mistakes that we talked about tonight. So who will benefit from this? Coaches, consultants, leaders, entrepreneurs, people wanting to live life on their terms, people who are sick of paying their therapist, people who want to lose weight, or they want better relationships. So those 3 packages are worth over $13,000. And then Sid said, I want to really make sure people get, Sid's my husband, by the way. I really want to make sure that people get results. And so he decided to throw in his life coach launch bundle. Now, with this bundle, you're going to get his identification training. So how do you know who to target? Who has the money and they're willing to spend it? Your messaging training. How do we make sure the message I'm putting out is hitting the right people? The super online organic marketing system. He's got a checklist for you there to help you get clients organically through social media. I did not run a single ad to hit 6 figures. We've just started running ads now. Profitable presentations, template, and masterclass. So he's going to show you how to take that presentation I gave you and monetize it. He's also going to give you the funnel to put together and the email templates, just like we sent out, just like you guys came through to get you guys here tonight. The super offer formula, templates, and masterclass. Most people, they're great coaches, but the problem is the offer that they're putting out. So he is going to help you nail your offer, master your offer, so that people are like, just shut up and take my money. He's going to give you the super one-call closing sales system and the sales card to go along with that. So he's going to show you how to be better at one-to-one sales on the phone. He is one of the best salespeople I've ever met. The Life Coach launch, he's running a 3-day workshop to help you really hone in on your life coach business, whether you're launching or you're taking it to the next level. A private Facebook group, and then 2 Q&A calls a month there as well. So you're getting lots of support. I don't know what's just happened to my, oh, there we go. So Paul, when he started working with Sid, he had gone like 0 for 50 something calls that he went on, had a couple calls with Sid, or 1 call with Sid, I believe it was. And all of a sudden he started he made just under $5,000, right around that $5,000 mark, because of the changes that Sid gave him. James has been working with Sid over the past couple months, and over the last 6 weeks, he has added 7 new clients to his business, implementing what Sid teaches. So Renee said that, she's done all these other programs, and this was the missing piece for her. This was also her secret weapon as she's launching her coaching business. So if we were to put these programs together, now we're valued at over $23,000. And I'm not quite done yet, because there's so much in the NLP that I'm going to give you the ultimate VIP card, which is your ability to have lifetime access to reattend NLP as many times as you like. The first time that you come through, you're rewiring your own mind. The second time you come through, you can learn the tools to better support other people. And you're going to get lifetime access to reattend the mind mastery support. So if because the programs run every 6 to 8 weeks, you could stay in that support and that integration program to just really become a master of these tools. So the total value of this program is $33,184. Now, obviously, I am not going to charge you $33,184, but let's just say for a moment that I did charge you this. If all this bundle did was help you make $100,000 in 2022, put a 1 in the comments or the chat if you believe it would be worth it. If this could make you $100,000, if it would be worth $33,184. Beautiful. And if all this did was help you focus your coaching sessions, your marketing, every aspect of your business on finding the right clients, attracting the right clients to you that were ready and willing to invest in their transformation with you, would it be worth $33,184? Put a 2 in the comments if that's a yes for you. And if all this bundle did was give you the tools to reprogram your own limiting beliefs, release and heal your own trauma, your own emotional baggage, so that you could have your own personal transformation and see your life completely change, would that be worth $33,184? Put a 3 in the comments. And then lastly, if all this bundle did was give you the tools that could guarantee you dramatic and powerful transformations for your clients that sent them out into the world raving about how amazing you are so that they send their friends and family to work with you, would that be worth $33,184? Put a 1 in the chat. Beautiful. I think so too. So I had 2 choices here. I could give this secret weapon of mine away for as little as possible to sell as many of them as possible. But there's a couple problems with that. Firstly, you're less likely to implement because you don't value it as much. Secondly, I wouldn't be able to provide the ongoing support and all the other value add programs that we've included in this bundle. So I decided to go with the second option, and it's going to require a slightly higher investment from your end, but it allows not just me, but also Sid to dedicate more time, energy, and resources to helping guarantee your success. So what would it be worth to you to guarantee your clients dramatic and powerful transformations? What would that be worth to you? Just think about that for a moment. And how much would you pay to have the tools that I used to create a 6-figure coaching business in 12 months? What would you pay to have that presentation that you know not only has worked for me, but has worked for other people, to have the lead magnet, to have the email pitches? How much would you pay for that? So you can probably see now why some of my clients pay me upwards of $15,000 for that similar result, because this is not about cost. This is an investment in your future. So it's not worth $33,000. I'm not going to charge $33,184. It's definitely worth it. To the public, they would invest $1,997. But you've already invested almost 90 minutes of your time with me tonight. So for you guys tonight, it's $997. Now, you have two choices. You can do nothing. And if you do nothing with what I've shared tonight, what's going to happen? Nothing. Or you can choose to lean into your future the same way that I did and to test it out and see if it'll work for you. To make it even more of a no-brainer, here's my guarantee for you. If you attend the first day of the training and you get nothing from it, you tell me, I learned nothing, that was a terrible training. No, I will give you a full refund and you can keep all of those packages that go with it. You'd keep the Life Coach Launch Bundle. You would keep the Self-Mastery Pack. You would still get all of that. So the real question is it worth gambling one day of your life to see what this is all about? And even if this bundle did half of what I've claimed it will tonight, you would more than pay it back after your first or next coaching client sale. So $33,184, you're going to get it for $997. There are payment plans available. This is everything that's included in there for you. And then, because I like to reward people who lean in and take action on themselves, the first 10 people who go for this, and I'm going to put the details up in a second. The first 10 people who go for this, you are going to get a product box that Sid and I have put together to help you master your mind and grow your business. And I'm going to put together a product box. You're also going to get a 50% off ticket to a brand new retreat that Sid and I are launching next month called the 10K Payday. At this retreat, we will help you build a 30-day plan to get to 10K. And we're going to give you 50% off that ticket. So that now brings the total to $33,781 for the first 10 people who take action. So here's what you need to do. To get all of this, you just have to hold your phone up and go to this QR code or go to www.don'tmakethismistake.com/bundle. I will put that link into the chat for you in a moment. Just go there. That will help you take care of everything. It'll show you the payment plan that's available and you'll be able to join us. So, does anyone have any questions? I'll put this link here. Oops, spelled bundle wrong. Questions? All right, so I know I threw a lot at you. I am 89 minutes. My goal was to come in under 90 minutes for you guys because I can definitely talk about this stuff for days. So If you have no questions, then that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. The replay will be in the Facebook group. I know a couple of you were like, oh, you went really fast. I know, again, I wanted to come in under 90 minutes. So the replay will be in the Facebook group. And if you have any questions, me and my team will be in the Facebook group as well to answer any questions. We'll put the link to the bundle in the Facebook group for you as well. This will be one of the best investments that you can make, both in yourself and in your future as a coach. The next NLP training, in case you're wondering, is next weekend. So January 21st to 23rd. And after that, you can, I think the next one is in February, late February, early March. But there's at least 3 or 4 in the first half of this year. Before I give birth, I've got 3 or 4 planned for you guys. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to sit it, to resit it, and whatnot. So thank you all again for joining me. I have had so much fun with you tonight. If you have any questions, I know that sometimes things pop up later. Please put it in the group. We're here to help, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye. Recording stopped. All right.